All right, we'll call the property committee to order. Was the meeting properly noticed?
Yes, it was.
Roll call, all present. Approve the agenda. Motion by Jay, seconded by Jerry. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Motion carried. Minutes of 10:16. I hear a motion to accept that. Rocky, Jay. All right. All those in favor say aye. Motion carried. Public participation as it's comes. All right. Here's what we're here for. Adams County Administration Building Site and Interior Improvements. There you go, Cynthia.
Mr. Chair, thank you. So today with us is the building task group, and they're here today to speak to the building projects that are on the agenda. So please welcome their input as questions arise, is my only intro into that. So I guess we'll just go ahead and start whatever's on the agenda.
Mr. Chair. So could I introduce these documents here? So this is just essentially the bid tabulation for all of the bidders. We have them listed as bidder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we do have the who the companies are. So I believe what this first spreadsheet is just showing the bidders with all of the alternates and what the price is. And then, Lion, if you could scroll to the second page. So we reviewed the bids and the alternates, and you can see in that middle column where it says include in project, it says yes or no. This would be what our recommendation is, what the task group's recommendation is for the alternates that we should accept for the committee. I don't know if anybody else had anything to add.
Mr. Chair. So I just want to add, if we go back to that initial one that has all the information, the reason that the builders are not indicated at this stage is that to keep the liability down as far as like a perception would be to award it to a certain builder because of the alternates being chosen, yes or no, it could have a perception that we're trying to get to a particular builder. So this helps protect the county. So once this committee today determines which alternates, and of course our recommendation is to drop off the charging stations. That's the task group. So our recommendation's out there, but this committee's driving the decision. Remember, you guys are going to choose these alternates, whether they're yes or no. So when you choose the alternates and it's final, then we will reveal who the builders are. And then you can kind of go from there to see who the lowest is, if that's the route we're going.
Taylor.
I thought we were going to have more of an ability to pick and choose on this stuff, but let's take, for example, that wall down there, the blocking it up. After our last meeting, we took that little tour and went through there. And I'm really concerned that if we block that wall up, we're creating a fire trap over there. I never realized there was a firewall right by the X-ray machine. So now you've really reduced the exits to that part of the building. If there was a lot of people in, for example, in that conference room, that's going to be made there where that firewall is taken out, or wall is blocked up. How would those people exit? There's only one exit. So what if a fire is out there in that atrium? They're in trouble. I think that door should be left there locked. And if I know the technology is available that in case of a fire that door could be automatically opened and whatnot, then they could exit out and go right out the front door. It'd be a big difference.
Well, I think the same goes with them 2 double doors getting out where you mentioned the automatic firewall. And that makes that, you can't use it.
I never realized that. was
No.
a Firewall there.
Nope. So, Scott, you got, oh, Rick,
Mr. Chair, if I could just address Mr. Paler's issues. If the committee recalls, this is addressed with the recent change that we had. When they went for state requirements for the fire code, that is why we are now not blocking off the door by the district attorney's office. We're creating a man trap in essence there. And also to address the fire code issues, that is why the door in the lobby is now going from a 3-foot door to a 4-foot door for egress. For those individuals, if Supervisor Paler was referring to the sheriff's conference room, there is a fire exit in that hallway as well, out the stairs that go out the front of the building, or they can go down the ramp and through the sheriff's department lobby area and out the fire exit there.
Scott, you have something?
My question is on the bidders not being exposed, I guess, is what if we had a bad experience with one of these builders and we just didn't want to go with that builder from past experience?
Cynthia,
Mr. Chair, so the committee will have an opportunity, once you choose the alternates, now you see the vendors or the builders. You still have a choice. If there's an experience out there, that is a factor. Because we do welcome your input if you have experience, but I think that well, we'll just wait to see how it ends up. And that'll be another discussion if that comes up.
Supervisor Paler,
The other question I have, it's not listed there. How much is all the supposed bulletproofing? I mean, there is another option that, are we really spending money on all that? There isn't another business or office or store or anything in the entire area. I tried to tell Randy I wanted bulletproofing at the lumberyard and he didn't think it was very funny.
okay. Anyone else? The bullet proof stuff? Bill Reynolds,
Apologize, that's not broken down. It's part of the base bid, so it wasn't a breakout in the bids. It was just included as part of the base bid.
Rick, you have something? Okay, you got it. All right.
Just a comment, that was something that I had asked about numerous times, and so why didn't we get a breakdown on it?
Cynthia,
Mr. Chair, as I recall, I mean, we have recorded meetings and I do listen to them over and over and over. That we ended up like these were going to be our alternates. We were going to have base bids and then alternates. And it was decided, these are the things that we thought that perhaps maintenance could do or not do. So we were going to look at the alternates. Are we going to have maintenance do the painting, the walls? Are we going to have maintenance do all the carpet or maintenance do the ceiling? So this is, if you guys choose these alternates, the reason we're recommending to move forward with the alternates. Bill, you want to address that?
Yes, ma'am. The alternates, if we were to take them out of this project, would be put into my capital project fund, which would make this a multi-year project and it'd be like a forever project where we'd have to move an office out kind of to get the work done, move them back in after it's done. We'd have to, it'd be labor intensive for my department, as well as it'd be whoever the contractor would be, we'd have to choose at that time. So it'd be just a repeat is why we feel it's better to do it now. So it doesn't turn into a perpetual project.
well, just for me anyway, to bear in mind, if I was doing something, that's one thing, but in this case, we're hiring people, whether they're employed here or whether it's a company, there's still going to be money going out to pay those people. So I don't know what kind of savings you'd have by doing it yourself, but it won't be free. All right,
Mr. Chair, I just want to
Please.
comment. So regarding the alternates, the task group and we are leaning towards this being our recommendation because this is the most efficient means of getting the project done. And what Bill is referring to, the perpetual construction, this is a concern that was brought on the floor here by one of our members or a board member, that this could turn into a perpetual, and then you're always disrupting an office. Because, you know, you're going to do flooring one day, maybe perhaps then if you're doing all the floor, then you work your way all the way through the system, if maintenance does it. Then next is the painting, then you got to move through the system. It's not like they're going to be able to do all three phases. And this is what I got from our meeting with Bill. This is the most efficient, and Bill did weigh in too, that he thought that this was reasonable, the amount that we were being charged.
Supervisor Paler.
That still didn't really answer my questions as far as the bulletproofing and that door down there. I think you're creating a death trap, a fire hazard down there by blocking that door off.
Mr. Reynolds.
I think as Rich alluded to, there are two exits from that floor. It's a small floor. There's a conference room and there's a child support office. And there are two exits off that floor. So it's not a code issue and it's not a fire escape issue either at that point because of the two exits.
And the atrium, if people were trapped in there, those doors will open, right, to the west? Okay. Well, I'm waiting to find out more opinions out there. I don't disagree with Jerry on that, on blocking up that wall. I've never been in favor of that either. But if there's, I mean, they talked about one time a way around that would be like what's the sheriff's department got where when they come in, two doors locked in. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
It would be what Rich called it before. It's called a man trap in the architectural world, where it's a door you go out and can't get back in. So it just creates a man trap. That being said, on that floor right now, the current conference room that the sheriff's department does use is one of the rooms in this building that's probably most in need of upgrade, I'll say. And it is small. This is going to create a lot nicer conference space for them, enabling them to have a lot nicer meetings in there, bigger groups in there if they need to. And it is in close proximity to the admin office, which I think would be in to their advantage for having a bigger meeting room there.
What do you think? Supervisor Rocky.
Well, the agenda item is to award the bid, not redesign the project. So what, not knowing who the bidders are, we say, okay, award it to bidder one, the lowest. You're trying to redesign the whole project and that's not on the agenda.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So maybe this is a two-phase thing. The first phase of awarding this bid, because that is the ultimate goal, is to award it. The first stage of that is to choose the alternates, yes or no. Because even though we said no on the charging stations, you may decide that going for a charging station now is probably worth it. I'll let you know that I got word that there's a grant opportunity out there for us. So it kind of leans more towards let's put that off because there might be a granting opportunity that'll pay for that. So so the first stage, alternates, yes, no. Then once that's decided, the next step is we reveal who the builders are. Kyle's ready to load that report and you'll see it. At that point, then we ask that we get, some direction to move forward with whichever builder. We have our recommendation, but that's a recommendation. I am using whatever comes from this committee as the ultimate driving force of the decision. We have a recommendation, but I want the committee to decide.
Supervisor Turco.
Mr. Chair, if we're talking about the alternates, I don't see any way around 1 through 4. Because being in construction, I know that those things are actually going to have to be attached to the project, in my estimation.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
May I ask the clerk to advance to the second page? This is the one where it's yes, no. And then Kyle, you have your active sheet that you can share with her in the end. Okay, so this is how it stands right now. So we're asking for any change to be recommended here.
Supervisor Paler.
Okay, which one of them alternates has got blocking that door up in it?
Cynthia.
Oh, I was hoping Bill would weigh in there. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, that's part of the base bid, so it's not an alternate.
Rocky.
I would agree with the recommendation to leave the charging stations off. Because how many people do you know that have electric vehicles? Does the county own any?
I don't think so.
And what's the point?
Well, unless we're going to put a fuel station there too. Full service, of course.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So related to the charging stations, I believe that we would, Bill, do you want to maybe, if that were to happen, to tell them what the outcome would be? There's a revenue potential, is there not? Or some?
There would be eventually. I mean, I don't know how much money it would be. It wouldn't be like a cash cow for the county by any stretch of the imagination. Let's put it that way. There would be a revenue potential, but we'd have to have an outside vendor that would manage the EV stations basically, and then we'd just get a cut of what they take on the credit card payments for those stations. I can tell you right now that the EV push is kind of on a downswing right now, and that perhaps that it'd be better to wait on the stations. The backbone, the infrastructure for those EVs is included in EV charging stations, is included in the base bid. So we'll be set up for it if we ever want to put them in. We're already set up for it logistically. So at that point, it'd just be choosing a vendor or getting a grant and then moving forward with that at that point in time.
I've noticed that the demand for them kind of goes the same direction as the government funding for them. So, Paler.
So I take it for granted the bulletproofing is also in the base bid. And I thought we were going to be allowed to make decisions on those things. I guess I was either misled or misunderstood.
Somebody want to address that? Cynthia?
Mr. Chair, so again, all of our meetings are recorded. It is out there where we actually said that these would be the alternates. We said there's a base bid and then there were alternates, and they all related to whether or not we thought that maintenance would be able to take on certain tasks. Do we really need to have new tiles, lighting and such? Do we really need to have the carpet replaced or the walls? And remember initially we were going to do this by room. And then it was recommended to us by our engineers, no, make that one alternative because it's going to be a bidding nightmare. And we're probably not going to get a lot of attraction of people to think, oh, we do this room, but not that one. So it was either all walls, all flooring, or all ceiling seemed to be the way to go. And that was all discussed on the committee floor. So, and again, I listened to the meetings over and over. It's out there. Base bid is the blocking up. Base bid is the hardening of the walls. Well, the base bid is everything other than what I just told you: flooring, walls, ceiling. And so you can decide here on the alternates and the two types of charging stations, whether to have one or to have two.
Well, it's my understanding that bulletproof isn't bulletproof. It slows it down, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'll just throw one more thing out there. Remember, this project was estimated to be about 2 million. It came in at 1.5 with all the alternates. So that was actually good news for us.
Supervisor Pease.
We're about ready to make a bid on the 1.5 million for less security. I think the sheriff could speak to that.
You want to take a crack at it? Sheriff York.
Well, I think the committee knows where I stand with opening up another door. As I stated in other meetings, by opening up another door, you're gonna decrease the overall,
Thank you.
the overall safety and security of the building from, I guess, the county's original objective a couple of years ago when we went to single point access. And then, with that, it increases our response time to this half of the building. So.
Rick.
Mr. Chair, the original plan was phase 2 was to actually move all the county offices out of this end of the building and turn it into the sheriff's department area. So I don't know that it's a good assessment to say that makes the building less secure. The reason that the committee recommended bulletproof or bullet resistant stuff is because there are people that are concerned, as they rightly should be, about employee safety. So that was a means to try to address and make sure that the employees in the offices had some means of safety. We have also addressed with if screening is needed for county meetings, that we take a deputy who is already on assignment and move them to this end of the building for those times, and they can screen the individuals before they come into the county boardroom.
I was actually contemplating that a little bit after this was out, but in many buildings and businesses, after a certain time, a door is locked. So if we don't block this up, you could still run people through the security issue for like on board night or something like that. That's the heck of it. There's too many alternate issues. And my idea might be one thing and somebody else is entirely different. So somewhere we have to come to an agreement that we either go ahead or don't go ahead, and then start talking about the alternatives. You got something, Cynthia?
So, Mr. Chair, with any project, especially with, we have a 20-member board ultimately, and then our committees are 5. You have 5 different perspectives on something, plus input from department heads, whether they're in favor or not. You're never going to get 100%. So when I make this statement, I'm talking about this statement being made as a collective. So if the majority voted for something, then the collective is the one that gave us direction to move forward. That's where we are today. So to kind of go through we still, if there's a security concern still, we could still work with the sheriff on that and others, because I think there was mention of that mechanism that's the single point of entry. I think that was what, $5,000 to $6,000 for that equipment, or a simple wanding. So there's ways to work around this, but as a collective, we were given direction to get this to where we are today and making this decision.
Oh, it appears like everybody's trying to get their thoughts in order. But we do have to make a decision. Supervisor Paler.
I guess I somewhat disagree with that statement, because we never really had the discussion of what we were gonna pick out or anything else. We were told at the time that when the bids came through, we'd be allowed to, either choose some things and leave other things out, and now everything is in the base bid. The things that were being discussed, such as that wall and the fire and the bulletproofing and whatnot, and we don't have the ability to make those decisions.
Anybody got a response to that? Rich?
Mr. Chair, as County Administrator Haggard has mentioned, the base bid has always been bulletproof. Conference room changes, adds, wall changes, adds, and the hardening of the facility between the two sites. The parking lot across the street, redoing the entrance on this end. The only alternates that the committee were going to vote on were carpet replacement, ceiling tile replacement, lighting, the northeast parking lot resurface, and then whether or not we have one EV, two EVs, or no EV charging stations. That base bid has always been everything combined, and the purpose of that is so that we're not picking and choosing. I'm pretty sure that if the bids probably would have come in a lot differently if the bidders had to break down items and the thought that something would come off of that sheet. It also, by not opening or closing doors, potentially have us to have to go back to the state for another fire exit approval plan. Thank you.
Taylor?
I have the sheet here that was given to us on the 29th of August, 2024, that lists everything differently, and we never ever made decisions on any of this.
All right. I don't disagree with Supervisor Paler on that issue that we talked about bulletproof or not. Fact is, I got a question right now. Sheriff York, that glass in front of your offices, is that bulletproof?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay.
That was put in well before the single point access.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I would also, so I don't know what the bulletproofing is or levels, but I know in doing safety assessments, there's other types. There's basically like film that can be put on glass. There's actual bulletproof. So there's multiple levels. I don't know what was done in this project. Maybe somebody else could speak to that. I'm not sure. As far as level, yes, but there's different ways that you can bulletproof or resist things.
They're bullet resistant panels. Sorry, they're bullet resistant panels that line the walls, and then they're bulletproof glass, all stage 4 level protection.
Supervisor Pease?
I have a concern that you didn't consult the sheriff on what he thinks is the best way to do that. It kind of surprises me that he is not in the know, I guess. I think the manager or administrator gave way too much leeway to the committee that brought it to us. Now everything was thrown in the base bid.
Yeah, please.
Mr. Chair, this project has been on my agenda since I walked in the door in 21. And we've had surveys, we've had meetings with departments, one-on-one. So for someone to be left and to say that they're left out of having some input, to me is, I don't know that's what actually the sheriff said, okay? He just said he wasn't aware of the bulletproofing or the type. I mean, that could be true, but we've had plenty. Go ahead, sorry. Anyway, I think somebody wants to say something.
Yep, go ahead, Rich.
Mr. Chair, as the IT director, I do not know everything relevant to IT. When I put a item out to bid, it's relying upon the technical expertise of the vendors who have the skill set. The county is relying upon the technical expertise of the engineering outfit that we hired to determine what bulletproof standards are needed and necessary. So we are getting the advice from the subject matter experts in that area. Thank you.
MSA, I think. No?
Public meeting. So couldn't anybody who wanted input went to one of those meetings? Including the sheriff or
Who
Bill
got
or the IT guy or myself? They were public. They could have went to those meetings, right? They weren't closed. Is that a true statement?
I'm not gonna address that. Do you want to?
So, Mr. Chair, my response to that, and I don't know if the public heard that, was that were all of our meetings open to the public? So those who would have maybe seen an agenda item, could they have attended to learn more about the subject matter? My answer is yes.
Bill Reynolds agrees with that. I heard his head nod. Well, guys, we have to move away from 7A, so I'm waiting for some sort of motion, one way or another. We know it's not all to our liking, and I think the point's been made that some of this stuff we were told was gonna have a input, and now it's in the base bid. So, Mr. Paler.
I'm just, you know, the addition that was put on, where the single point of entry is, didn't end up what everybody thought it was gonna be. And this one makes me nervous. I don't know that we're solving any problems, or are we creating more?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Could I ask Lyanna to pull up a document from August of 2024? I just shared it over to you.
Did you get that? Good.
Oh, different one?
Yep, different one. It was the document that's outlining what was included in the base bid. And then all of the alternates, and then all of the alternates were broken down by each individual room. So this is the document that shows what was going to be included in the base bid going back to August of 2024. So you'll see on there, if you zoom in, I can't really read that up at the top. Base total includes a first floor safe wall and the administrative building exterior improvements. So it was always I believe it was always included in the project.
Mr. Chair. So again, I'm just going to remind, there's two phases that we're looking for today. One, to get the alternates chosen. And then after that, we'll reveal who the builders are. And then the next step would be that you guys would give us direction on who to award the bid to.
The first thing is really. So the only alternates we're basically looking at is the charging stations. Did I misread that?
Can the clerk please bring up that first page again? I think there's 6 alternates,
What,
7. 7. So the task group is recommending the ones that we said yes to. And then obviously evident there, we're not suggesting to move forward with the charging stations. And if that was the case, then the yellow means that that was the lowest bidder. So if you are in line with that, then whoever that builder is, when we reveal that, would be the lowest bidder. But at this point, we just want you to say yes or no on the alternates. That's all. And you don't have to go with us. You could say, go ahead, go forth with the charging stations. This is just our recommendation.
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
I'm not sure the alternates are where the controversy is. I think the controversy that we have had has been on the base bid.
Because of what's included and not discussed, I guess. I don't know if that's the right wording or not. But well, one of them was blocking up that wall.
We never. We never had a kick can.
And as far as, things get changed, a good example of that is when the state come in and says, your exodus isn't good enough. We have to do something different and make a 3.5 foot door instead of a 3 foot door. Okay, I took that to the extreme, but 4 foot door. And then things got changed. And we had to vote on it, and we did. So is there any alternative? God, I hate to say this, but changing that base. Or this is what we're gonna vote on and that's it.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
So the collective gave us direction, which got us to the point that we are today. So changing any part of a base bid and all of that is kind of off the table.
All right. First things first, alternatives. Is there any of those that, go ahead, Churko.
I'll make a motion to accept 1 through 4. Because I don't see how you get through this project without a lot of that being replaced anyway.
I have a motion for alternates 1 through 4. Seconded by Paler. Any more discussion? Cynthia. Oh, sorry. Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to say that alternate number 5, the reconstruction of the northeast parking lot, that's probably the worst parking lot we have at this facility. It is the one that's closest to the single point of entry. It is the one where we have our handicap parking in, and it does have issues that need to be addressed, if not through this project, sometime soon. I know that once contractors are on site, it may be logistically in our favor to have it done at the same time as the other parking lots, just so it's, it's an even keel, but it's gonna address some issues we have with drainage over there. And like I said, that is probably the worst parking lot we have at this facility by far.
Yes, sir. Kyle.
Mr. Chair, thank you. And also alternate 5 was not going to be covered by the building project funds. It was going to be covered by Bill's capital fund. Was my understanding. Correct.
Yeah, we're in discussion right now. Yep. We were in discussion. You want to introduce yourself?
I can't. So.
Jason.
I'm gonna be a little careful here. I'm one of those 5 bidders you had, okay? So I'm not gonna let you know my company or what it is, but I'm gonna kind of mimic what Bill had said. If you don't accept alternate 5 today, which is fine if that's the choice you decide to take, but I can guarantee you as one of those bidders, the mobilization alone to get the grinding company there to do that is $10,000. So if you don't do that as part of the project and you remobilize all of your units to do that project 6 months later, a year later, it's substantially more expensive. The asphalt guy's already there paving, the grinder's already there grinding, the civil guy's already there laying pipe. Just FYI, I don't want to give you more information than that, but I am one of those 5 bidders that's on that board.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Taylor.
Well, I don't think that when the information just came out that funding was coming from a different source, then we can still do it at the same time. It's just going to be paid for from a different source. I mean, I don't think it should be part of this bid if his funding's coming from Bill's capital fund.
Pease.
I thank you for your input, but was he signed up for public participation?
In a committee meeting, it's permissible by the chair.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Cynthia.
so I want to address that. If the funding source is coming from another, then why is it on here as an alternate? That is a pretty good question. So why are we, okay, go ahead, Bill. I just can't recall why we added it.
We added it as an alternate because we felt we'd get better pricing if
Yeah.
it was done at the same time as the project, just because of exactly what the contractor here said, that, you know, the mobilization, the having everybody on site, we're gonna get better pricing this way than we would if we just put it out as an independent project.
Mr. Chair, so
ahead.
my view of this is, let's say the project dies. And now we just have that one parking lot, that now our costs are gonna go up just for that single item. You know, if this project doesn't move forward, I guess that's why we wanted it. Like, we're gonna do the parking lot as long as it's part of this big picture, if that makes sense. So I'm with Jerry and, or Supervisor Paler in that, you know, is it a yes, no alternate? I would say if the project's moving forward, then perhaps it's a yes.
Couldn't we just,
Go ahead.
if the project moves forward, couldn't we vote on this separately after the fact because the funding is coming on a different source?
Mr. Chair, whatever the pleasure of the committee is, however you want to handle that.
All right. Unless there's amendment, we have a motion on the floor to do 1 through 4. And my guess is you could turn around and award alternate 5 right after that. I mean, it doesn't have to be in the original motion, I don't think. It'd be easier if it was, if that's what we're inclined to do. So we're gonna vote on the motion. Churko.
Yeah.
Paler.
Yeah.
Rocky. Pease,
Nay.
and I'm a yes. So we have 4 yeses, 1 nay. The motion is carried. Mr. Paler,
I would like to make a motion that we now approve alternate 5 with funding coming from Bill's capital fund.
motion made to include alternate 5, seconded by Chirko. Any discussion on that? If not, we'll go ahead.
That's with the caveat that it comes from Bill's
Yep,
finances.
capital funding. All right. We'll proceed to vote. Chirko.
Yeah.
Jerry. Rocky.
Nay.
Nay on Pease, yes on me. Motion is carried. Now. So now, you ready?
You want to get a no for the other two?
I'm sorry.
You want to get a no for them too?
It was just brought to my attention. Alternate 6 and 7. Is there a motion to accept or deny that? And that's the EV. Okay, motion made by Rocky to deny alternate 6 and 7, seconded by Jerry. Any discussion on that? Pease,
Well, by dropping number 10, does that make the one bidder less than the other, or by dropping the parking lot number 5?
no,
Okay, that was just my question.
no,
You're with a pen and pencil trying to figure it out.
so. Okay, motion to not approve alternate 6 and 7, the EV stations. Those in favor of dropping them, Pease,
Yes.
Rocky. Yeah. Paler. Chirko, yes, and I'm yes. All right, that motion is carried. So now,
Mr. Chair,
yep, please.
I ask that the report get updated now so the builders are revealed. Builders, contractors. Okay.
Read this now. Yeah, that's what I got. So now we are at awarding the bid for the administration building site and interior improvements. Cynthia?
Mr. Chair, so now that you have the information regarding the companies that actually bid on the packets and who builder 1 is, which is the low bid. I believe we do have some experience with this builder, and perhaps if Bill wants to weigh in on that.
I don't think Harmony's done any of our commercial projects right now, but I know they're managing our Veterans Memorial project out in the front of the building. So we have worked with them on that, and we've had no issues working with Harmony on that.
And it's my understanding that was done, it was donated, their work was donated.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. All right, from the project itself. Do I hear a motion one way or another? Rocky,
I'll make a motion to award the project to the lowest bidder.
Motion has been made to award it to the lowest bidder. And seconded by Churko. And that is bidder number 1. Wait a minute now. I take that back.
Right behind you, Bob.
All right. All right. All right, we have a motion to award the project to the lowest bidder. Discussion. I think we're discussed out. All right. We're gonna vote. Turkle.
Yes.
Jerry. Rocky. Pease.
No.
I'm a yes. Motion to go forward with some reservations. Anything else on that? Otherwise, going to move on. Castle Rock Park Maintenance Building. All right. Doug, you got anything that you want to bring up now?
Mr. Chair, thank you. No, I don't, other than, I appreciate the time to review this project and hopefully approve it. It is something that we definitely need at the park. And if you have any questions before we begin, you're welcome to send them my way.
Now, you can see. I better look. Wow.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So the low bidder on this project is Altman Construction Company out of Wisconsin Rapids.
Have we had any experience with, we know Harmony, we've got experience with them. I've had experience with Brickle Brothers. Jerry, you got experience with any of these? Or Churko, both of you?
I know.
Churko? Thule?
Mr. Chair, thank you. With in regards to the Castle Rock project, Altman Construction was the main bidder on the complete build of our ATV UTV park and restroom facility back in 18, and was a sub that did the foundation work and some of the other stuff on the expansion of the main portion of the park on that west expansion a couple years ago, and they were always decent to work with. Very tentative, and I had no issues with them projects that we worked out.
You tell me the company again?
Altman Construction, the apparent low bidder on this.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Doug?
Mr. Chair, I guess the only other thing I would have to add is that I did receive some correspondence from MSA or the engineering the project. And they said they have, vast experience working with them. And ultimately, it is the committee's decision, but it was their recommendation to award it to Altman, the lowest bidder.
Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did have experience working with Altman Construction. They did the reconstruction of our pods F and G in our jail, the jail expansion project back in, I want to say 1999 or so. And they were a good contractor to work with at that time.
You remember that far back?
Kind of.
Jerry?
Okay, I have no concern whatsoever about which contractor it is. My concerns go right back to that base plan. I talked to two of our local builders who didn't even want to bid on it. One of them told me straight out he wouldn't bid on it because they thought that plan was ridiculous. You have 7 inches of concrete in a floor. You're not building a manufacturing facility, you're building a storage building. You have 2x8 walls, studded out walls, which in the first place, why are you building a pole building if you're going to stud it out with 2x8 walls? I think this whole project is so over and above what code is. For example, a 3,000 gallon concrete holding tank for a floor drain. First off, there's no water in the building. Secondly, yes, you need a floor drain, but you could probably get by code with a 1,000 gallon plastic tank for a lot less money. The builders that I talked to told me they could build this building for under $200,000 and meet commercial codes. But this codes that were in this plan were ridiculous.
Well, I don't doubt their word. They apparently didn't bid.
If this building was moved 40, 50 feet to the south, you wouldn't have to have that retaining wall either. There's another big expense.
Turco?
Mr. Chair, it just seems to me that for the purpose of the building up at the park, seeing what their current storage capacity in the building that they use today, this for what they're looking for, this just seems so over and above what should be there, in my opinion.
Well, there's, I guess the part I would want to go back to is there has to be a purpose for doing it this way. And I don't know what it is, but like you're talking studying to insulate and properly, that might be an issue. Now, 2x8 seems like a little overdone, but that's to me. Well, you still got to put something on the outside, and you're starting with something on the outside there in a pole building. So I'm not going to try and explain it, but I'm saying there's got to be some sort of purpose why they're doing this. So,
Mr. Chair.
Kyle.
Yeah, I'll kind of circle back to what Rich had said earlier in the earlier discussion. That's what we pay the experts to do, is to engineer this building to what they see fit for the purpose that it's going to be serving.
Taylor.
My answer to that is the experts, meaning MSA, gets paid according to the cost of the bid.
Thank you. It seems like I've heard that before.
Mr. Chair.
Kyle?
So MSA, we put this out for proposal for engineering services, and MSA was the only engineering service to bid on our proposal. And they had a flat fee, what was it, 65? I think it was about 65,000 was the fee that they had estimated on the project. So it's not based on the cost of the project.
Mr. Chair.
Cynthia.
Another thing I'd offer is that when you deal with someone like MSA, they don't have just one type of engineer. They have structural, building, they have a lot of, I guess, you know, what we count on to be experts coming to the table to come up with a design or the plan here. And you see that even with that plan, we received a lot of bids coming in. And it's kind of standard across there. I mean, some of them are there on the high end. But, you know, again, so we estimated 500,000, it's coming in at 460 roughly. 470, my eyeballs.
Well, I think after visiting Castle Rock Park out there, that the need is there. The problem is how much need, I guess. And I'd almost, I mean, I don't know anybody that's built something that's too big as far as that goes. But I don't get what you're saying about the concrete, the interior walls. I could justify that somewhat, but it's not the way I would have built it, but it doesn't matter. I'm not building it. So anyway. Do I hear a motion on the building? Have you done the prep work out there? Has the prep work been done? Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, that was part of this project, is that we were to clear this lot before the project were to begin. I mean, we've gone out there and marked the perimeters. We haven't physically started removing any of the material yet. And, you know, I plan to have discussions with the engineer on some of the grades and stuff out there, but we haven't physically cleared anything yet.
Supervisor Churko?
Mr. Chair, I do remember that when we were looking at this, there was 80,000 or in change for site prep. So it was on the,
Yeah.
it was 80,000. So the county is doing the site prep now. So does that come off? Did that come off the bid?
Doug, can you answer that?
Not sure if I could address that. So all we are doing is we're cutting down tree and moving debris. So there is some, you know, some excavating work, and we're not moving the stump balls or anything like that. So they still have to come in and excavate the root balls and do their, you know, excavating.
Moving forward. Churko?
I'd make a motion to go back to the drawing board.
Ooh.
A lot of
Motion.
money for bullshit. I'm sorry.
You know, you're not
Yes.
going to get MSA's bid any lower.
Then I think we should go with an architect that will come up with a plan that is much more feasible. I mean, there are so many alternatives that could be changed. For example, I said the retaining wall, move the building a little bit further south, no retaining wall. You don't need 7 inches of concrete. You don't need, if you're gonna build 2x8 walls, then stick build the building. Why are you building a bullshit? There's just so many alternatives that could be done much cheaper. And there are architects out there, you don't need MSA. There are architects out there that can do commercial code buildings all over the place. I gave Cynthia a card for one out of Linden Station that'll do it.
The comment you made about the stick build, that would change the foundation also, which,
An engineered slab.
yeah. Doug?
I mean, the only thing I have to add is, I mean, I'm not an engineer. I can't tell you what, you know, some of the precise load limits and all that kind of stuff, but we did make numerous I don't know if you want to call it changes to try to keep this project as low as we could. I mean, we did slide the building, I don't remember, 10, 15 feet south. Kyle, maybe you remember those discussions. We were gonna have in-floor heat. We pulled that out. So we've made quite a few attempts to try to keep this as low as we could. Or yeah, I guess one of the reasons that we're trying to keep it as far north as we could there too is we wanted the ability to pull in with equipment and a long equipment trailer and, do a 360 and be able to back into the machine. And also maintain or develop a vegetated barrier between that and the campground. So, we did make the concession and move the building south quite a bit, but, still trying to keep our distance from the road to some degree.
I guess I would question how we got so far apart. From what a couple of builders on this committee are saying versus what MSA has said and what the need is. And the other question I have is about timing. I mean, if I'm not sure you want to be building this in the middle of tourist season, but anyway, go ahead, Doug. You had a comment?
Yeah, I guess in regards to your last comment, this is kind of, I guess, off to the side of the developed area of the park. So we're not going to have any interference from a construction company doing this at basically any time of the year. And as far as the cost, I understand the committee's cost. I began looking into this probably almost 3 years ago. And I actually, I looked at Menards kits, but there's so much that are included in those. And I did talk to some contractors, and yes, those dollar values were, closer to some of the committee members' concerns. However, I'm not an engineer. I can't, there's different codes for public buildings versus agricultural buildings. And that's why we went this route to have an engineer make sure that we're in compliance with all those things. It's different if you're a homeowner and you're walking into your storage shed versus you're putting a paid employee into a building. So those are concerns that the engineer was hopefully addressing in these plans.
You mentioned you pulled out in-floor heat. So what is the heat source?
It's like you see in a lot of shops, it's just a hanging, propane heater that runs and blows out into the building.
Jerry.
Another question about the heat. Why is the entire building being heated? If you're going to have a shop area, why don't you partition off a shop area and heat only that building? And then you save all the money on insulation and everything else for the whole rest of the building.
Well, the only answer I'd have for that is people are more productive if they're comfortable. And that's just not entirely. All right. Anything else? Mr. No Name, go ahead, Rocky.
Maybe we should see what the base bid included.
Have we done that?
What are these people bidding on? What's costing all this money?
I can speak to that if you want some answers.
Mr. No Name.
All right, just because I've been sitting here and a lot of questions been asked, so I will tell you what was bid. I bid it. I'm again one of those bidders that are on that board. It's nothing more than an engineered slab. Okay. Yes, it's 7 inches thick, but it's an engineered slab. When you do commercial type work, MSA is not here, right? So I'm kind of taking a little bit from them. Okay. So when you do commercial work, you have frost protection. Okay. So there's insulation that has to go down and out outside of that to protect the frost. That's part of that bid. There is no 2x8 stud walls inside there that were bid on those projects. It's a post frame construction with bad insulation, with metal liner panel that goes in there. It's pretty standard out of all the years. So I've had 12 and a half years in an engineering firm designing buildings, and I've now had 13 years in construction. And this is something that's very similar over 25 years of experience that you'd see in any community. You can't go pick a package up from Menards and put it up. You just can't, because it doesn't meet all the commercial codes. When you do government buildings, there's certain what they call importance factors in the structural design, in the insulation values, all that those are different. There is a retaining wall in that bid that's a little pricey, but it's not a huge portion of that project. So I just thought as you guys are asking questions, some of those answers might come up. It's a hanging Modine system with a duct heater that goes in. I can tell you that if you try to put another wall in there and parcel it off, probably not going to save a whole lot of money, because you just put another wall in that you're going to have to insulate, right, to separate one side from the other. So any of the insulation costs you save in the outside of the building, you're going to put right back in the secondary wall to parcel it off. So I honestly believe this is a very efficient building that was put out to bids from MSA. If you go back and redesign this, from my experience, even if you get an engineer to do it cheaper, you use a different engineer, what are you going to pay them? 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, whatever that number is, you have to take that into account when you rebid this. So even if that number comes down $20,000, but you spent 20,000 on then re-engineering, what good did that do you? I will tell you that this package that you have to get ordered, if I order that today, the bidders for the post frame construction that bid to me, they're not building this tomorrow or a month from now. They have to get these pieces on order in order to even bid in the spring. So if you continue to push this off and you want this done at the timeline you've specified in your documents, you're going to end up putting this right into the middle of summer building, which is worse than the spring. So it's just my 2 cents. I just thought I could give you some information on what was bid, what that document looked like. Very competitive bidding market right now. So I've seen more bids on the last 2 weeks on jobs I bid than I did since 2008 and 2009. So.
All right.
Food for thought.
Thank you. Doug.
I was just gonna add, thank you for those comments, but I'd actually give you 4 cents for that.
We got a motion on the floor, don't
We
we?
do. Motion to reject Churko, Taylor.
Yep. Okay, we still have a motion on the floor to reject these bids unless there's a difference. Seeing none, we'll vote on that. Pease,
Yes.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Taylor. Churko.
On my motion.
Right.
Motion
I'm sorry. Yeah. Almost.
Okay, I'm a no, but that doesn't matter. 4 yes, 1 no. All right. What are we gonna do then? Oh, I don't know about that. It is award bid, and we did not. Okay. Well, Cynthia, Doug, Thule, it's back to the drawing board. Now, nobody's gonna have a problem with them to redo some of this, is that correct? You hear that? Jerry made the statement, we're in favor of a building but not at this cost. I think that's sums it up.
I see the need for the building. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're talking about basic hold on storage.
Is your mic on? Is your mic on?
I'm sorry. I see the need for this building. They definitely need it. I think that the engineering firm could have done more to come in reasonable. I mean, there's so many things that could be changed on this building at a much lesser expense. I have a little familiarity with an engineered slab. I do not believe an engineered slab has to be 7 inches thick. I mean, a state highway is only 6 inches thick. Airport runways aren't even 7 inches thick. So the interstate is 9 inches thick. So I'm just, a lot of things could have been changed. As far as the location of the building, that retaining wall is a big expense. We can get that out of there. In fact, one of my recommendations when I was out there and we did that site visit is, why aren't we building it straight south of the existing building? That looked like a good location to me, and that's all flat.
Well, Cynthia alluded to this earlier. Fact is, we're gonna have 5 different opinions. And somehow we have to get by this. We have to rely on somebody else that gets paid to do this and move on. But right now, we have postponed this building.
Mr. Chair, I
Cynthia.
guess you go first.
Okay, I really see it, but I think what we need to do is meet codes and not exceed it.
Cynthia.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll say this, that I've worked for other governments where we were fortunate enough to have an engineer on staff. And so we had expertise, if you will, at the government level. We don't have that. It's not an insult to Bill or anything like that, because Bill, I hope he's not an engineer. We're not engineers. So for us to go back now to the drawing board, we're not the experts to say that this works or that works. So again, we will have to now go out and get quotes to get somebody to come in as the expert to provide guidance to us, as we had with MSA. So I mean, obviously this was voted down, so we are now back to that process, that will now be our next step, is to probably go out to try to get experts in line. And yes, some of our board members have expertise in certain, but remember, it's not in all. MSA offered multiple levels of engineer expertise. Some of you may be familiar, some of you actually have the expertise. So I don't know what that looks like, but I can tell you that at the county level, we don't have expertise here. We would have to outsource it. So that's what I see, is perhaps I'm just writing stuff down, like the location. We're gonna look at the retaining wall, that we're gonna look at the engineering slab. We're gonna try to get things up to code minimum. I don't know what all that looks like. So again, I just feel like we're gonna have to get the guidance outside of our task group, if you will.
And we're doing this with the assumption that it'll still be practical and come in less as far as expense goes. If it comes in more, we'll be disappointed. How's that? All right. We're done with that. Phase 2, courthouse annex remodel, reconfiguration of parking lot. What am I calling on? Bill?
This is just information relevant to the very first motion you made regarding the building project. So it's just, I guess, put on there just informative.
I went through all those and I can't even see part of them. So, all right. So that's just information.
Mhm.
All right, moving on, project 3. Building project 3.
Mr.
Cynthia.
Chair. All right, thank you. I wanted this on the agenda and perhaps on the agenda going forward as we get, I want to start working with the sheriff again, because I don't want this being kicked down the road. I just feel like I don't want that. I don't want the sheriff to be forgotten, you know, because he has needs that need to be met on that side. So I just, right now, it's just an agenda item to continue discussions as we go forward with our meetings, you know, maybe just give an update. So perhaps the sheriff and I and the task group are all going to start meeting again to maybe get some ideas on the, and again, if, you know, may have to get some engineering services in here to assist, but I think we have a good idea what the sheriff's needs are, but just maybe the plan is to hopefully do that using our current space would be ideal, but if that's not the case, we just gonna keep coming forward with like our status, if you will. We're just gonna call it out as an agenda item, as a discussion. So I'm just asking that perhaps be on our agenda going forward is all.
Okay. Phase 4, Health and Human Services Daycare.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Similar to the sheriff, this is the other part of, this is the last phase of our 4-phase project that was approved years ago. And so the latest discussion about this was this diagram here. Now, it doesn't go into a lot of detail. And the reason this is actually coming aboard is that I'm trying to make a move where the county is not dependent on outside services to, you know, when we become dependent, if something happens or changes in a dynamic, we're put in a position that's not comfortable. And this relates to the medical examiner area. This building here does incorporate the medical examiner being moved to this area. So, and then I also had some board members approaching me about, can we move forward with this Health and Human Services? So that's members that served on the HHS committee and others are saying, can we move forward with this project? Again, just want to keep it on our agenda, keep it on in our sites, and perhaps just keep giving updates on it. But now I do feel like there's a need, not only for HHS to have, you know, a better location and for our clients too, and then also now medical examiner issue, where we were very dependent on outside services and we need to become self-sufficient. Creating a morgue.
Any questions on the diagram that's been presented? Okay, moving along. Project status. Who wants to address that? Kyle, you got something?
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I don't have anything to add, unless departments have anything they wanted to highlight on the projects.
I see no questions. Moving on. Maintenance. William.
Yes, sir. If you had time to review my report, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Pease.
I noticed quite a few fence gate problems. Are they problems from age or is people hitting them or who's liable for that?
No, there's just a problem with the electric operator out there. Scott is just getting older and we had somebody come out and service it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So was that in regard to the fencing out at the fairgrounds? So what went on there?
At the fairgrounds?
Yeah.
I wasn't there when it happened. I know that somebody did hit the fence during the demo derby. I do have a price to repair it and I did approve the price to repair it and apparently whoever did it is going to pay for it.
So that's apparently an interior fence.
Yes, it is an interior fence.
Okay. And then as I come by the last couple of days, there's a bunch of flags out in front of the secretary building. What are those for?
Which building?
I'm going to say the secretary's building.
At the fairgrounds?
Yeah.
I do not know, sir.
Okay.
I go by there too. I'll have to look. There's a bunch of cones out there that they block that off because the wrestlers are using it. They don't want them parking there near those, there's a couple of cleanouts there that come out of the ground for the sewer. So
Okay.
they put a bunch of cones out there around those cleanouts to make sure that nobody's parking there.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
So. Any other questions for Bill? Parks Department. Thanks, Bill.
Mr. Chair, you see our report there? If there's any questions or comments on the report?
He's,
It's not really, I don't think, a question on, I got a question, I go past Castle Rock, so. I'm not picking on one or the other, but I noticed a lot of trailers parked in the area that in question that a few meetings ago I had. Are those all, what, $60 a month they're paying to park in those areas? And are they, I guess my question is, are they yearly and then they pay for that 60 and they come off the yearly? Or if they're yearly, it just stays on their site?
go ahead, Doug.
Mr. Chair, thank you. So I usually have my assistant manager, Justin Poxic, kind of track what's going on down there. And I know since our last committee meeting, he's reviewed that at a minimum twice. So we do put registration tags on there to make sure that we can identify who's there and who has paid for parking there. So we are trying to do our best job to keep a hand on that. And I would say, I don't have that exact number, but I would say a majority, if not all of those, are probably seasonal campers who had a seasonal campsite, and rather than haul it home, they're just continuing to park it at the site down in that parking lot. And they are being billed at $2 a day or per night.
Mr. Pease.
Lost my train of thought, just a second.
It happens.
So do they have first dibs come springtime on whatever spot they had in the previous year?
Mr. Chair, no, they do not. So all of our seasonal campers, they pay for that season and they are not guaranteed the site to have or any site for the following year. Our reservation system opens the first week of January. And then at that time, they have to go online and book a site. You know, they can have the same site, but they have to, they don't have a better chance over anybody else. So it is open to everybody. And that's one of the reasons we make them move off their seasonal site. You know, they don't maintain a yearly site, which those yearly campers are allowed to leave their camper on the site year round. So they're not guaranteed. And that's why we make them move them off to the overflow parking lot where they have to pay for parking.
Just one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you running out of space for parking whoever's parking their trailers in $60 or $2 a day slots?
So if I could answer that, we don't have a designated area in the parking lot, but I would say the parking lot's close to 2/3 capacity right now. There's not that many that, keep them there in the summer, but right now I would say it's about 2/3 capacity. And, hopefully, we get through this shop project, in the future, but eventually we want to tear down that building and expand that parking area.
Thank you, and also thank you guys for getting rid of some of the excess stuff on Wisconsin surplus. I see you made some pretty good money on that.
Thank you.
He's just reminded me of the question I was gonna ask, and that had to do with the stuff that was sold on auction. Is that, was you satisfied with that, or did you, any repercussions on that at all? What'd you end up selling? Some big item?
Yeah, I hate to list everything. The biggest item was a pickup truck that Peatwell had for sale.
Okay,
And then the remaining items were various other pieces of equipment. As far as the other equipment that went, I was, shocked at some of the prices we got.
okay.
I mean, pleasantly surprised. They were a lot more than I thought we'd get.
Ah. All right, Cynthia. Thanks, Doug.
Mr. Chair, I'd like for Kyle to kind of weigh in on, there was, comments from the last meeting about concerns out there at Castle Rock and the parking and that. And Kyle, do you maybe want to touch on an internal audit?
Yep, Mr. Chair. So we've had initial phases of starting an internal audit out at Castle Rock and Petenwell regarding all of the trailers and other items that are stored at the parks facilities off of campsites. So we're going to be looking at that in further detail during their off season.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, set the next meeting date. December.
If you want, but do you want to have a meeting? Or do you want to go into January?
Oh, I'm tied up on the 18th.
January.
Not that you have an opinion. Okay. It'll be in January.
January 15th, maybe?
I missed that.
January 15th, maybe?
Hi.
January 15th?
Okay. January 15th, 9 a.m. With that, this meeting is adjourned. We'll see you then, if not before.